The Galactic Summit. The tense gathering. Ambassador Xyloth's chromatophores rippled with anxiety as he slithered into the grand chambers of the Galactic Council. The towering halls, usually filled with the ethereal melodies of the Kylar harmonium, were eerily silent. Whispered conversations hissed like Venusian sand vipers as representatives from countless star systems took their seats, tension thick in the recycled air. Xyloth coiled his serpentine body beneath the floating Zychorian emblem, his multiple hearts pounding in dissonant rhythms. As the ambassador of a mid-tier power, he rarely merited much attention during regular council sessions. But today was different. Today, all eyes would be on him as he delivered the news that had sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The unthinkable incident. Esteemed counselors, Xyloth began, his universal translator crackling with trepidation. I come before you today bearing grave tidings. As many of you are aware, first contact was recently established between the Kren Empire and a newly spacefaring race known as humans from the Sol system. A four-armed Kvalarian delegate scoffed, her exoskeleton clattering dismissively. The Kren. Those brutish upstarts are always sticking their mandibles where they don't belong. What have they done now? Xyloth's chromatophores flushed a somber shade of mauve. I'm afraid the situation is far more serious than mere Kren posturing. In a calamitous misjudgment, the Kren High Command dispatched a battle fleet to the human colony of New Atlantis, intending to subjugate what they believed to be a primitive and defenseless species. Gasps of disbelief echoed through the chamber. The Kvalarians' compound eyes widened in shock. They attacked a pre-interstellar civilization. That's a clear violation of the Galactic Accords. Indeed, Xyloth agreed grimly. But the Kren's folly was not in their disregard for our laws, but in their catastrophic underestimation of the human race. The devastating outcome. The council chamber fell silent as Xyloth activated the holoprojector, bathing the room in the ghostly light of a fierce battle unfolding above an azure world. As you can see, Xyloth narrated, the human defense fleet, while technologically inferior, employed tactics and strategies unlike anything the Kren had ever encountered. They utilized unorthodox formations, unconventional weapons, and even sacrificed their own ships to maximize damage to the enemy. The holograms danced with the chaotic ballet of warfare, human vessels weaving between the lumbering Kren dreadnoughts like silver minnows harrying a school of sharks. Explosions blossomed in silent fireballs as the battle raged on. In the end, Xyloth said softly, the Kren fleet was routed, their ships reduced to smoldering husks drifting in the void. The humans had achieved the impossible, a decisive victory against a vastly superior foe. The grim implications. As the holograms faded, Xyloth turned to face the stunned assembly, his voice heavy with foreboding. Counselors, this is not a matter of a single battle lost or a distant skirmish of little consequence. The repercussions of this incident will reshape the very fabric of our galaxy. The humans have proven themselves to be a formidable and unpredictable force, capable of defying our most fundamental assumptions about warfare and interstellar relations. He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. The Kren, in their arrogance, have awakened a slumbering giant. And now, the universe trembles at the thought of what the humans might do next, and what it means for us all. The chamber erupted into a cacophony of worried voices, each delegate grappling with the implications of this new reality. Xyloth slumped back, his duty discharged but his heart's heavy with the knowledge that nothing would ever be the same again. The galaxy had entered a new era, one in which the very name of Earth would strike fear into the hearts of even the most advanced civilizations. And this was only the beginning. The Kren invasion. The Kren's overconfidence. In the heart of the Kren Empire, War Matriarch Xyloth stalked through the obsidian halls of the War Council, her chitinous armor glinting under the crimson light of the dying star that illuminated their home world. She sneered at the holographic displays of the human colonies, their feeble defenses and primitive weapons laid bare before her predatory gaze. These soft, fleshy creatures dare to defy us, she hissed, her mandibles clicking with disdain. They wield mere chemical rockets and projectile weapons, while we command the power of antimatter and singularity cannons. They will learn the price of their insolence. Her advisors, a cadre of battle-scarred warriors, chittered their agreement. The Kren had conquered a dozen star systems, their advanced technology and ruthless tactics overwhelming all who stood in their path. These humans, with their fragile bodies and backward civilization, would be no different. The invasion begins. Across the light years, the Kren invasion fleet emerged from warp space like a swarm of locusts descending upon a ripe field. Dreadnoughts the size of small moons cast their ominous shadows over the verdant worlds of the human colonies, while swarms of fighter craft buzzed around them like angry hornets. On the surface of New Atlantis, alarms blared as the human defenders scrambled to their posts. Marines donned their exoskeletons and checked their weapons, while pilots raced to their waiting starfighters. In the command center, General Nathaniel Hawke clenched his jaw as he surveyed the tactical displays, the red icons of the Kren ships vastly outnumbering the blue markers of his own forces. "They may have us outgunned," he growled, "but we'll show them what human ingenuity and determination can do. We won't go down without a fight." The tide turns. As the Kren ships opened fire, the human fleet responded with a fury that caught the invaders off guard. Instead of the orderly lines and predictable formations of a civilized space battle, the human ships darted and weaved like a swarm of angry bees, their movements seemingly chaotic but in reality guided by complex algorithms and real-time tactical analysis. Starhawks, sleek fighter craft barely larger than a Kren escape pod, danced around the lumbering dreadnoughts, peppering their hulls with a barrage of high-velocity railgun rounds and antimatter torpedoes. The larger human ships, while outgunned, employed hit-and-run tactics, striking vulnerable points in the Kren formation before vanishing into the asteroid belts or behind the shimmering veils of nebulae. On the ground, human marines engaged the Kren landing parties in brutal close-quarters combat, their powered armor and adaptive camouflage proving more than a match for the Kren's superior numbers and firepower. In the ruins of shattered cities and across the blasted landscapes of once peaceful colonies, the humans fought with a tenacity and resourcefulness that left the Kren reeling. The Kren's mounting losses. Back on the Kren homeworld, Matriarch Xylith watched the holographic displays with growing disbelief and rage. Her fleet, the pride of the Kren Empire, was being systematically dismantled by a species they had dismissed as primitive and weak. Ships that had conquered entire star systems fell before the humans' unorthodox tactics and relentless determination. "Impossible," she snarled, her claws gouging deep furrows into the obsidian command table. "How can these creatures, these humans, stand against the might of the Kren?" But stand they did, and with each passing hour, the tide of battle turned inexorably in favor of the human defenders. Kren ships, their hulls breached and their crews slaughtered, drifted lifeless in the void, while on the surface, the once proud Kren warriors fell back before the relentless advance of the human marines. As the last Kren ship fled the system, its hull scorched and its crew broken, General Hawke allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. They had won the battle, but he knew the war was far from over. The Kren would return, their pride wounded and their desire for vengeance inflamed. But the humans would be ready, armed not only with their weapons and their ships but with the knowledge that they had faced the worst the galaxy had to offer and emerged victorious. The universe had underestimated them, and now it would learn the true strength of the human spirit. Project Prometheus revealed. The Covert Initiative. In the shadowed halls of Earth's hidden research facilities, Dr. Evelyn Satori pored over the alien artifacts and technologies that had been secretly recovered over decades of clandestine operations. Project Prometheus, the brainchild of Earth's most brilliant minds, had been working tirelessly to unlock the secrets of the universe, reverse engineering the advanced technologies of civilizations far older and more advanced than their own. "We've made a breakthrough," Dr. Satori announced to the gathered scientists and military leaders. By combining the quantum entanglement principles of the Vari with the subspace manipulation techniques of the Eldrin, we've developed a new form of propulsion that will revolutionize space travel and warfare. The room buzzed with excitement and trepidation. They had always known that their work would one day change the course of human history, but the reality of it was both exhilarating and terrifying. The unveiling. As the Kren invasion fleet regrouped and prepared for another assault, Earth's leaders made the decision to reveal the existence of Project Prometheus to the world. In a globally televised address, President Emilia Nakamura stood before a podium, her expression grave but determined. For years, our best and brightest have been working in secret to ensure the survival and prosperity of the human race, she declared. Today, we reveal the fruits of their labors, the technologies and innovations that will not only defend our world but propel us to the forefront of galactic civilization. Behind her, a shimmering veil of energy parted, revealing a fleet of sleek, silver ships unlike anything the world had ever seen. Their hulls pulsed with an otherworldly glow, and their engines hummed with the power of harnessed stars. "Behold the Prometheus fleet," President Nakamura proclaimed, "the culmination of Project Prometheus and the key to our future among the stars." The new frontiers. As the Prometheus fleet took to the stars, the balance of power in the galaxy began to shift. Human ships, armed with advanced weapons and shielding, proved more than a match for the Kren and other hostile forces. The quantum entanglement drives allowed human vessels to traverse vast distances in the blink of an eye, striking with precision and disappearing before the enemy could respond. In the heart of the Prometheus, the flagship of the fleet, Admiral Nora Eriksson stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the holographic displays that surrounded her. She had spent her entire career preparing for this moment, and now that it had arrived, she felt a sense of calm determination wash over her. "Set a course for the Kren homeworld," she ordered, her voice steady. "It's time we take the fight to them and show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of." As the fleet leaped into subspace, the stars blurring into streaks of light, Admiral Eriksson allowed herself a small smile. The universe had once looked upon humanity as a primitive, insignificant species, but now they would see the true power and potential that had always lurked within the human spirit. The turning point. The arrival of the Prometheus fleet at the Kren homeworld sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. The once mighty Kren, who had terrorized countless civilizations, found themselves outmatched and outmaneuvered at every turn. Human ships, their hulls glittering with the strange energies of their advanced technologies, danced through the Kren defenses like ghosts, striking with impunity and leaving only destruction in their wake. On the surface of the Kren homeworld, human marines in powered exoskeletons and wielding weapons that defied comprehension stormed the citadel of the war matriarchs, the very heart of the Kren war machine. The battle was fierce and bloody, but in the end, it was the humans who emerged victorious, their flag flying over the shattered remains of the Kren's once great empire. As the dust settled and the galaxy struggled to come to terms with the new reality, one thing became abundantly clear: the age of human ascendancy had begun, and nothing would ever be the same again. The art of mimetic warfare. The power of culture. As the Prometheus fleet pressed its advantage, driving the Kren forces back across the stars, a new front in the war began to emerge, one that would prove just as decisive as any battle fought with ships and weapons. This was the realm of culture, of ideas and emotions, and it was here that humanity's true genius began to shine. In the depths of Earth's cultural archives, a team of researchers and psychologists, led by the enigmatic Dr. Marcus Raven, pored over centuries of human art, literature, and media, searching for the key to unlocking the human mind's vast potential. They analyzed the great works of Shakespeare and Tolstoy, studied the primal rhythms of rock and roll and hip-hop, and deconstructed the viral memes and internet phenomena that had captivated billions. "Culture is the most powerful weapon we have," Dr. Raven declared, his eyes gleaming with a strange intensity. "It is the lens through which we understand the world, the foundation upon which we build our identities and our societies. And it is the key to defeating the Kren and any other foe who would stand against us." The meme wars begin. As the Prometheus fleet battled the Kren in the stars above, Dr. Raven and his team unleashed a new kind of warfare upon the galaxy, one that would come to be known as the meme wars. Using advanced algorithms and psychographic targeting, they flooded the Kren's communication networks with a barrage of human culture, from classic rock anthems to viral cat videos, from philosophical treatises to absurdist humor. At first, the Kren were baffled by this strange assault, their minds struggling to comprehend the alien concepts and emotions that bombarded them from every screen and speaker. But slowly, insidiously, the memes began to take hold, worming their way into the Kren's collective psyche and eroding the very foundations of their society. Kren soldiers, once fanatically loyal to the war matriarchs, found themselves humming human pop songs as they marched into battle, their resolve wavering as they confronted the existential questions posed by human philosophy. Kren politicians and leaders, their minds addled by the relentless onslaught of human humor and satire, began to question the very purpose of their endless wars and conquests. The viral uprising. As the meme wars raged on, new force began to emerge from the depths of human society, one that would prove just as powerful as any fleet or army. These were the civilians, the ordinary men and women who had watched in awe as the Prometheus fleet had taken to the stars and who now saw a chance to join the fight against the Kren in their own unique way. Across Earth and its colonies, a grassroots movement began to take hold, one that harnessed the power of human ingenuity and resourcefulness to create a new kind of weapon in the war against the Kren. In garages and workshops, in basements and backyards, civilians began to retrofit their vehicles and equipment with improvised weapons and armor, turning minivans into tank killers and cargo freighters into makeshift carriers. These civilian warriors, dubbed the viral militia by the media, took to the stars in droves, their ships adorned with graffiti and bristling with jury-rigged railguns and missile launchers. They fought alongside the Prometheus fleet, their unorthodox tactics and unbridled enthusiasm catching the Kren off guard and turning the tide of battle in humanity's favor. The Kren's despair. As the meme wars and the viral uprising took their toll, the Kren began to falter, their once mighty empire crumbling from within. Kren soldiers, their minds infected by human memes and their spirits broken by the relentless human assault, began to desert in droves, while Kren leaders, their authority undermined by the spread of human ideas, turned on each other in desperate bids for power. In the streets of Kren cities, the once loyal citizenry began to rise up, their minds awakened to the possibilities of freedom and self-determination by the insidious influence of human culture. They tore down the statues of the war matriarchs and raised the flag of the human alliance, their voices joining in the chorus of a new galactic order. As the last Kren stronghold fell and the Prometheus fleet stood victorious among the stars, Dr. Raven allowed himself a moment of quiet satisfaction. The meme wars had been won, and the power of human culture had proven itself mightier than any weapon of war. The galaxy would never be the same again, and humanity's place in it was now secure, built not on the strength of arms but on the indomitable power of the human spirit. The failed psionic weapon. The Kren's last hope. In the heart of the Kren's crumbling empire, a group of scientists and military leaders gathered in secrecy, their faces etched with desperation and fear. They had watched in horror as their once invincible armadas were swept aside by the human onslaught, their soldiers and citizens falling prey to the insidious influence of human culture and ideas. "We have one last chance," declared General Zaxxer, his voice trembling with a mix of anger and despair. The psionic weapon. The others exchanged uneasy glances. The psionic weapon was the ultimate achievement of Kren science, a device that could project a psychic field across vast distances, overwhelming the minds of entire populations and bending them to the Kren's will. But it was untested, unpredictable, and many feared that its use would violate the very laws of nature and morality. "We have no choice," General Zaxxer insisted, his eyes blazing with a fanatic's zeal. "Either we use the weapon, or we watch our empire fall to the humans and their accursed memes. We must act now, before it is too late." The weapon unleashed. In a hidden facility deep beneath the surface of the Kren homeworld, the psionic weapon was activated, its eldritch energies pulsing out across the stars like a malevolent heartbeat. The Kren scientists watched in awe and terror as the weapon's power grew, its tendrils of psychic force reaching out to ensnare the minds of entire worlds. On the bridges of human ships and in the streets of human colonies, people began to feel a strange presence at the edges of their consciousness, a whisper of alien thoughts and emotions that threatened to overwhelm their own. Some fell to their knees, clutching their heads in agony, while others found themselves compelled to act out strange and disturbing impulses. But even as the psionic weapon's power grew, the humans refused to succumb. Their minds, tempered by centuries of exposure to their own diverse and chaotic culture, proved remarkably resistant to the Kren's psychic assault. They rallied around their shared values and beliefs, their memes and stories acting as a bulwark against the alien influence. The weapon backfires. As the battle raged on, the psionic weapon began to falter, its energies dissipating in the face of human resilience and determination. The Kren scientists, their minds linked to the weapon's matrix, found themselves overwhelmed by the sheer volume and intensity of human thought and emotion, their own psyches fracturing under the strain. In a desperate bid to turn the tide, the Kren scientists poured more and more power into the weapon, pushing it beyond its limits. But it was too late. The weapon, unable to cope with the chaos and complexity of the human mind, began to feed back on itself, its energies turning inward and consuming the very minds that had created it. Across the Kren Empire, the psychic backlash swept like a tidal wave, leaving madness and despair in its wake. Kren soldiers and citizens alike fell into catatonia or flew into berserk rages, their minds shattered by the weapon's uncontrolled power. The once mighty Kren war machine ground to a halt, its soldiers and ships paralyzed by the psychic maelstrom. The humans strike back. As the psionic weapon's power faded and the Kren Empire teetered on the brink of collapse, the humans saw their chance. The Prometheus fleet, its ships and soldiers bolstered by a newfound sense of unity and purpose, launched a final, devastating assault on the Kren homeworld. They swept through the Kren's defenses like a hot knife through butter, their weapons and tactics honed to a razor's edge by months of relentless warfare. In the heart of the Kren capital, the human marines stormed the imperial palace, their battle cries echoing through the ancient halls as they fought their way to the throne room. There, they found the Kren emperor, his once proud form reduced to a gibbering wreck by the psionic weapon's backlash. He begged for mercy, his words tumbling out in an incoherent stream, but the humans were not in a forgiving mood. They had suffered too much, lost too many of their own to the Kren's cruelty and arrogance. With a single, decisive stroke, the human commander ended the Kren Emperor's life and with it, the Kren Empire's reign of terror. As the news of the Emperor's fall spread across the galaxy, the remaining Kren forces laid down their arms, their will to fight extinguished by the failure of their ultimate weapon and the triumph of the human spirit. The galaxy had been forever changed by the human Kren war, its old order swept away by the tide of human innovation and determination. And as the dust settled and the stars realigned, one thing was certain: the future belonged to humanity, and the universe would never be the same again. Peace and the shifting galactic order. A new dawn. In the aftermath of the Kren Empire's fall, the galaxy stood on the brink of a new era, one shaped by the ascendancy of humanity and the power of its indomitable spirit. From the ruins of the old order, a new galactic community began to emerge, one built on the principles of cooperation, exchange, and mutual understanding. At the center of this new order stood the Terran Alliance, a coalition of human worlds and colonies united by their shared values and their commitment to peace and progress. Led by visionaries like President Nakamura and Admiral Erickson, the Alliance sought to forge a new path for the galaxy, one that would bring the diverse peoples and cultures of the universe together in a spirit of harmony and shared purpose. The Galactic Realignment. As news of the Kren's defeat spread, other alien races began to take notice of the humans and their remarkable achievements. Some, like the enigmatic Vari and the technologically advanced Eldrin, saw in humanity a potential ally and partner, a species whose creativity and resilience could help them unlock new frontiers of knowledge and discovery. Others, like the militaristic Zorgans and the fanatical Keelthak, viewed the humans with a mix of fear and respect, recognizing in them a force that could either be a valuable friend or a formidable foe. They watched warily as the Terran Alliance began to expand its influence, forging new alliances and brokering peace deals between once warring factions. At the heart of this galactic realignment stood the figure of Ambassador Xyloth, the Zycorian diplomat who had first brought news of the Kren's fateful encounter with humanity to the Galactic Council. Now, as the Council's newly appointed mediator, Xyloth worked tirelessly to build bridges between the disparate races of the galaxy, using his skills and knowledge to foster understanding and cooperation in the face of ancient rivalries and conflicts. The dangers of boredom. But even as the galaxy basked in the glow of a new era of peace and progress, there were those who looked to the future with trepidation and unease. They remembered the words of Dr. Marcus Raven, the enigmatic mastermind behind humanity's mimetic warfare, who had warned of the dangers of a species whose greatest threat was not from without, but from within. The human mind is a restless thing, Dr. Raven had said, his eyes glinting with a strange intensity. It thrives on challenge, on conflict, on the thrill of discovery and conquest. Give it peace, give it stability, and it will eventually turn on itself, seeking new outlets for its insatiable curiosity and its boundless energy. As the years passed and the galaxy settled into a new equilibrium, these words began to take on a new and ominous significance. The humans, having proven themselves the masters of war and the architects of peace, began to grow restless and dissatisfied, their minds yearning for new horizons to conquer and new challenges to overcome. Some turned to the arts and sciences, throwing themselves into the pursuit of knowledge and beauty with the same fervor and intensity that had once driven them to war. Others sought out new frontiers to explore, launching expeditions into the uncharted depths of space and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. But there were those who longed for the thrill of conflict and the rush of victory, who looked upon the peace and stability of the new galactic order with a sense of ennui and dissatisfaction. They whispered in the shadows of human society, their minds alight with visions of glory and conquest, and their hearts yearning for the chance to once again prove themselves the masters of the universe. The looming threat. As Ambassador Xyloth looked out upon the stars from his vantage point in the council chambers, he could not shake the feeling of unease that haunted his thoughts. He had seen the power of the human mind, the potency of its creativity and its destructive potential, and he feared for what the future might hold. The humans are restless, he murmured to himself, his gaze fixed on the distant points of light that marked the boundaries of human space. They have tasted victory and known the thrill of conquest, and they will not be sated by peace alone. Sooner or later, they will grow bored with the pleasures of stability and plenty, and they will begin to look once more to the stars, seeking new worlds to conquer and new enemies to defeat. And with that thought, Xyloth felt a chill run down his spine, a premonition of the trials and challenges that lay ahead. For he knew that the greatest threat to the galaxy's newfound peace lay not in the stars above, but in the hearts and minds of the humans themselves, a species whose greatest strength, and greatest danger, lay in their unquenchable thirst for adventure and their indomitable will to succeed. As the galaxy looked to the future with hope and uncertainty, one thing was clear: the fate of the universe would rest in the hands of humanity, and the choices they made in the days and years to come would shape the course of history for generations to come. Would they use their power and potential for good, building a new era of peace and cooperation that would endure for millennia? Or would they succumb to the siren call of war and conquest, unleashing the destructive potential of their creativity and innovation on a galaxy that trembled at the mere thought of their wrath? Only time would tell, but one thing was certain: the universe would never be the same again, and the legacy of humanity's ascendancy would echo through the ages, a testament to the indomitable spirit and boundless potential of a species that had dared to reach for the stars and grasp the very fabric of creation in its hands.